Hey, dot2 fans, it's Will Murphy coming to you from California. Today we're holding our next dot2 webinar. We're going to cover some details about effects and chasers. Dot2 makes it fairly straightforward to get some simple things up and running for your shows. Let me give people a couple more minutes to join the webinar, and we'll get started. So hang tight for one more minute here. Okay, let's get started. I got a list of a few effects here that we'll run through. You guys hopefully can see the questions feature is enabled. So if you have some questions, just go ahead and post them. I'll get to them at the end of the webinar. This is going to be a pretty short webinar since we're just covering simple effects and simple chasers and how to handle those. First one, everybody wants to know how to do a dimmer effect. I have my dot2 here with my dot2 3D already in session. Let's say I've got my 8 QWOs. I will go to dimmer with this my dynamic screen. See, I could bring my dimmer up, or I could bring it down. Or I have this little symbol here. I could click on that to get to effects. Additionally, if you're just in the normal special dialog, the great thing is the hard keys guide you to the proper windows as well. So you can click on the effect hard key, and it's going to take you to the same dimmer effects window. We've got some predefined effects in here. Naturally, we're going to add more with future releases, so look forward to that. So I just want a soft dimmer effect. You'll notice in the 3D down here, I have a nice chase going to right. My 4 encoders are what are going to allow me to adjust things about the effect. So for example, the speed, maybe I want to slow it down. So I'm going to roll my encoder down and we'll slow that effect down. If you want to set a high and a low value, you'll notice on the top right, you have this low value button and a high value button. So if I click on low, I will be able to define the low value. So the default, it's assuming the low value is 0%, but maybe I want that to be 25. We have some quick buttons in here. You just hit 25, and now your low value is 25%. You'll see in the 3D. Those don't actually turn all the way off. Okay. If you want to set a high value, click on the high value button on the top right, and maybe my high value is 75. Okay. So we'll make it quick and easy to choose your low value and your high value. You go back to the effect button. You notice this is going from left to right, okay? If we ever wanted to change that direction, I would hit the direction button and it goes the other way. I'm going to go back, maybe I don't like it at 75%, so I'm going to go back to full 100%. On my low value by the top right, I will drag down to 0%. If I go back to this little effect symbol, we had hit that direction button to change it to go in the opposite way. You can click that button again to get it back the other way. And maybe you'd like a mirror dimmer effect. This is where phase comes into play. Phase is your distribution across your waveform. So a soft dimmer is just pretty much just a sine wave, and you have 8 fixtures up there. Well, if I come up here, I have a quick button that says mirror, which is 0 through 360 through 0. And now I have a mirrored effect. Okay. So hopefully that gets you those quick effects you want, mirror functions, etc. You can always off the effect as well. And I have a couple other ones here. How about we do a hard dimmer? So that's going to snap, and I want that to mirror. So I go to phase, and I choose mirror. I have my speed on my second encoder here. I'll roll my encoder up. And it's going to go a lot faster. Go ahead and turn that off. Okay. Some other ones that are nice, we have a dimmer pan tilt value. If you go to regular position, I could tilt these downstage And if we jump back to dimmer under effects, you can even mirror that to make something more interesting. So you can very easily get effects up on your screen without much, up on your stage without much trouble. Go ahead and turn that off. Another common thing that people want to do is they want to do pan tilt effects. So bring those to full. I'm going to go to my dot2 3D and use this follow function. If you haven't used this yet, it's very helpful. Just enable follow mode. You select your fixtures in dot2, and then you get this red ball, and you click where you want those lights to point. So I have those lights pointed on that guy right there. We'll come back to my dot2 software, go to position. I'm going to click my effect button, and I would like to do a circle effect. So right there, I have a circle going around my performer. Okay? You can turn that off. Something that becomes a little more fun, let's say I choose half of these, and I will make those do a circle, and then I'll choose the other half, and I'll make those do a circle, and I'll change the direction. So now they're going in opposite directions. One half is going opposite the other half. Okay? And if you want to synchronize those, go ahead and hit sync. And you'll notice that everything about the effects are lined up again. Additionally, you can get something more fancy. We come in here, select all of them. We'll choose mirror. And now they're getting a little bit more scattered. Come in here, I can change the direction again, synchronize them. It's something you can play around. You can get very intricate. Effects are just something you have to play with, get used to how they work. Okay? So there's time. This is the benefit of having MA3D and the dot2 on PC software is you can play around a lot until you get an idea of how to build the effects you want. You can always email support@aclighting.com with any kind of specific effects you're trying to build, and we will certainly point you in the right direction. Some other fun effects that exist. Dimmer, pan, tilt, fly out. Okay? Go ahead and do that. You'll see fixtures are flying up. Now, something interesting is that these are still pointed on this performer. If we ever wanted to, bring those back to their home position, you could always jump over here to position, and I just hit home, and now they're reset to their home position, and I'm going to tilt these downstage. Okay. Go back to effect. The effect is still running. It's the dimmer fly out effect. And maybe I want to mirror that. So I go to my phase and I choose the mirror button. Okay. Some quick functions just to get you some effects on stage. Make it quick and dirty. If you have extra time, you can dive deeper into adjusting the phase for every single fixture, because if I have this fixture selected, I can come in here and well, this fixture is at a phase of 180. And I'm going to make it run a little faster, and then these two I'm going to set to a phase of 90, and I'm going to run those a little slower. So if you go fixture by fixture, you can get some stuff that's just very randomized, etc., very organic looking. Some other really handy stuff about effects has to do with going between two values. Okay, now we already looked at dimmer, and we were able to set low and a high value. Well, it's a lot of fun is to think about all the other attributes that you might have with your moving light. Okay, so tilt those downstage. I want to do an effect that goes between two gobos. So let's say it's this gobo and that gobo, and I want an effect that's going to go back and forth between these two gobos. Okay, to do that, hit effect. We're going to say two gobo, and it's going to default to some gobos based on whatever is built in, but I'm going to go to the low value. I'm going to choose gobo 1.1. We'll choose the high value, and it's going to be gobo 1.3. If you hit effect again, you can slow this down on that second encoder. So now it's 10. So now you have this effect that's snapping between the two gobos that you've selected. If you want to mirror that, you go to phase, and you choose mirror. Okay. Synchronize. Go ahead and turn that off. And do the same thing with color. but we go to color. Okay. Choose the effect. We'll do a 2-color hard. Okay. It defaults to blue and white, but by these high buttons, you can go to low value. I want my low value to be green. I'm going to choose my high value to be magenta. Okay. You can also do this with presets, which is very handy. I already have these presets built in. Rather than referencing hard values, I'd rather my effect reference some presets that are already built in my show. I'm going to start with low value. I'll choose my pink preset, and my high value will be my green preset. Now you notice not too many pinks are on compared to the number of green. You go back to effect, this is what width is for. Okay, we can adjust the width on our 4th encoder. It's going to turn on more pink instead of more green. Okay, go the other way. It's going to be less pink and lots of green. And you notice you get to the point where you even get a little flicker of that pink. Okay? And that's on the 4th encoder. That's your width. That's basically the width of what one color is compared to the other. Okay, you can do that on any effect. I can have more of one gobo and less of the other. Okay. Same thing with zoom. Maybe you want to do a zoom effect. It zooms all the way out, zooms all the way in. Okay. Just go to effect. We'll choose zoom. You'll notice it's doing that. I'm going to set my low value for zoom. There's going to be maybe something like that, and the high value like this. Go back to effect. I want to speed it up, so I open the calculator and I'll say 60 BPMs. And if you want to mirror that, go into phase and you choose mirror. So that's some basic effects that you can get going just with some of the built-in functions. Phasing dictates whether it's a mirrored or where they're at. You'll notice if my zoom effect that's running right now, if I open the phase and I set them all to 0, it means they're all doing the same thing. I'll slow this down to say 30 so we can see that better. If we set our phase, say 0 through 90, okay? You notice how they kind of all open up and then they all kind of close down. They all kind of open up, etc. If we do 0 through 360, it's distributed evenly across the entire selection. And in case you want to kind of double up that effect, this is where you say something like 0 through 720. You'll notice the effect looks like it's running 2 times. There's it's doubled up through 2 of them will be fully open as opposed to just 1 of them, because 360 is the standard. So an entire range of the effect is 0 through 360. When you say 0 through 720, you essentially get that effect twice for your selection of fixture. Okay. And the always fun one that everybody loves to do, RGB rainbow. So that's basically effects in a nutshell. Get you going, get you a good starting point. We're going to do some more of these webinars to dive deeper into some more nitty-gritty effects that you might be able to do. And naturally, if you have any questions, you can email support@untitled.com. The other topic I wanted to talk about today was chasers. Okay, chasers allow you to do something a little different than what the effects do, because chasers are based on cues. Okay, and we're going to combine this with circle copy. And I have all these lights on. I'm going to turn them off. I'm going to start with just the first fixture. Why don't we do 2 fixtures at a time? Okay, so this is my first cue. I'm going to say store please. I'm just going to put it in the main cue list for now. And now I want this to chase across all 8 of those. So these 2 fixtures, I want them chasing all the way across and wrapping back around. Well, the long way would be like, okay, grab fixture 1, bring it to 0, grab fixture 3, bring it to full, and we store that as our next cue. And then I want fixture 2 at 0, and then 4 at full, and we store that as our next cue. The nice thing is we have a circle copy macro that makes this a lot faster. You start by selecting all those fixtures. You start with your first look, you go to your macro tool. You'll notice there's a macro that says circle copy to the right. When I do that, it copies all the values to the right based on your selection. So we store that as the next cue. Okay? circle copy again, store the next cue, circle copy again, store as the next cue. You're going to keep doing that until you have all the steps of your cue, and there's going to be one more at the end because it's going to go all the way around. Okay, so now clear your programmer. 1, 2, 3. I say go. Bring my fader up. You can see I'm stepping through. Now, any cue list, remember this doesn't have to be on the main executor. I was just doing that to make it faster, a little bit faster. You can put this on any executor. I'm going to say view this cue list, and we're going to go to the wrench symbol on the top right. You'll notice there's an option there that says is chaser, and it's currently set to no. If you toggle that to yes, you now have a chaser executor as opposed to a regular cue list. When we hit go, it's going to automatically step through the cues. Okay? And this is going to be based on the speed. So if we double our speed up here, let's turn that on. And let's pull backwards. This is not chasing through my cue list right now. It's always fun doing these live demos. I test these out before we start the show, and now it is not running. Let's see. How do we try to build this again on normal executors? So, got all these selected. This one and this one, full. I'm going to store that here, and our macro tool is store that here as the second cue. Store key 2 here. Override that macro next. And store here, and here, and store here, and again store here. Okay. View that cue list. Put the fader up. There we go. I may have incorrectly thought maybe you cannot do a chaser on the main executor. So here we double our speed. You can make that run faster. I actually I think I missed a step in there, but that's okay because I'm going to show you a cool additional function. You can reverse the chaser via this function. So we go in here and we'll say backwards. Okay, run backwards, and you can also do a nice bounce. A bounce is a lot of fun because it's just basically going back and forth. Okay? So that's something you can do with chasers. Another thing people like to do with chasers have to do with color. So, for example, let's say everything that's full, and you start with red, and you want to chase some green through that. Okay? That's going to be the first cue. And remember our handy dandy super copy macro. We copy that there. Did that 2 times. We're going to make them jump. So it creates like cue 1, 2. This one, 1, 2. Throw that again. And then everything is going to go back to red. And now these 2 are going to go yellow. Okay. Store that as my next cue. I'm going to select all your lights again. Circle copy. So as my next cue. Circle copy 2 times. That's the next cue. Circle copy 2 times. And that's the next cue. Okay? So now I'm bringing my fader up. And we're going to make this a chaser. So it basically sits in red. And it's going to alternate between chasing green and yellow. So if you view this, go to the wrench. Enable this, and we'll double this up. You could also randomize it to make it more interesting. So now you're going, between these random instances of green or yellow with your base color being red. Okay. And there's also the bounce. So some cool stuff you could do. Let's look at so this is a rate executor, which is a function is not linked to chasers right now. The rate executors are for regular queue lists. The function that I want to show you that I can't because we're not on PC is if you hold this speed button, which is a learn function, you can tap on this executor. So if you have a physical desk, you can tap on this executor while holding speed to have the chaser slow down. Oh, it's actually working with on PC. So I have to be quick about it. Or you can go in here and we can actually change the function of this button to a learn button. So now as I click on this, it's learning the speed that I might be tapping to the beat. Okay. So that's a couple functions of what chasers can do for you. Another one that people like to know, it's like, well, if I have a main queue list, how am I supposed to trigger this chaser? So let's say alpha washes come up in Q1, and this is still chaser. Turn that off. So in Q1, your alpha washes come up, and go to green, and then I focused over here. So store that as next queue. Maybe in the next queue, I want it to trigger this chaser. So we'll just store a dummy queue there. View this, and you'll notice this command column. This is where you'll do go executor 1.2, which stands for page 1, executor number 2. Okay. So now we view our queue list again. We're going to Q1, going to Q2, those alpha washes turn green. They focus on that singer, and then in Q4, my chase starts running because it's triggering that executor. And maybe in Q5, I'm going to turn off that executor. So we'll say off executor 1.2. Now when I hit go, it turns off that executor for me. Okay, so that's interacting with chasers. We talked about some effects, and I didn't show you how to get them in and out of queues yet. So maybe in the next queue, we're going to have our alpha spots. Bring those to full. I'm going to point here on the singer, and we're going to do a circle around him. Okay, so I've started the effect, and we'll say store please. It's going to store that to the next queue. And then maybe we'll do a 2-color soft. I want my low value to be blue. And I want my high value to be yellow. Okay. And we'll do a mirror thing here. This will be my next queue. Okay. So now I'm sitting in, cleared my programmer, sitting in Q5. I'm going to go ahead and hit go. You'll notice there's no fade times on this because I don't have any in this queue list. So let's set a standard 3-second fade for that queue list. Hit go. You notice that color effect now it nicely fades up because the effect fade is dependent on the queue fade. Now we want to turn these effects off. How do you do that? That's with the stomp function. So maybe I want to stomp these 4 fixtures. I'm going to select these 4, 3 through 6. Go to position, choose effect, and you'll see there's a stomp function. So hit stomp, and now those 4 fixtures that I have selected are not running the pan tilt effect anymore. Okay, store that as the next queue. Now these same fixtures, I want to stop running color. So I go to the effects for color, I say stomp, and in the same queue, I want them to go to cyan. Say store please. That's the next queue. So you have them running. We're still in Q7. Go ahead and hit go. It stomps the position, I hit go, and it snaps to cyan because once again I'm back to a 0 fade time. That's my default fade time right now. Okay, so now I'm going to go and select these fixtures, all of them. So I want to stomp everything. And we say MA at. If you hold MA and hit your at key, you put stomp in your command line, you hit please, and it just stomps all effects that are running on your current selection, no matter the attribute. Okay, so that as your next cue, we'll do a fade of 5 seconds this time. And now I clear my program in Q9, I hit go. It's going to fade out all those effects. Okay? So stomp is the function to get the effects out of your cues, and just plug on the effects to get them into your cues. Okay? So there you go. Those are the basics of effects and chasers. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to post them right now. If not, you can always email your questions to support@actlighting.com. Okay, the questions I'm seeing, it's a lot to get into. We'll get back to you one by one, and we're going to call it a day. Thanks for joining, you guys. Stay tuned for future webinars. You can go to actlighting.com/webinars to sign up for our mailing list related to when webinars are being held. At the same time, you can sign up on that same list to hear announcements when newer software is released. Okay? It's Will from LA. Talk to you later.